Okay, so here is our next lesson here online. Okay, we're going to look at Unit 3, Lessons 1 and 2. We're going to describe these figures here. And in lesson number 2, we're going to look at angles and how angles are described and so on. So what I have here are several shapes. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at this one. Let's look at this rectangle here. And we're going to describe this rectangle. And when you describe shapes or figures, you want to look at three different things. You want to look at the number of sides. And in this case, this shape has 4 sides. Then you want to look at the number of angles. And in this case, this shape has 4 angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. An angle is when any 2 sides meet. We have 4 there. The next one we're going to ask ourselves is how many parallel sides are there? And in this case, there are 2 sets of parallel sides, and we indicate that by showing these little lines here. And what parallel means is 2 sides across from each other. If they are equal distance, then they are parallel. So for example, if I were to measure from here, this corner down to this corner, it will be the exact same as I measure from here to here. Okay? If I look at this triangle here, if I measure from this line to this line, this here is much shorter than from here to here, which means they are not parallel. Okay? And then to differentiate, I'll say that these 2 are parallel. Again, the distances are the exact same. So describing figures, we look at how many sides there are. In this case, there's 4. How many angles? In this case, there's 4. How many parallel sides? Well, in this case, there are 2 sets of parallel sides. There are 2 sets of parallel sides. Okay. When I look at this one here, this triangle, I would say there are 3 sides. There are 3 angles, and there are 0 sets of parallel sides. There's no sets of parallel sides. If I were to look at this one here, I would say there's 6 sides, there are 6 angles, and there are 3 sets of parallel sides. This here is parallel with this here, and likewise this is parallel with this, and this is parallel with this. And how do I know? Because I know the distance from here to here is the exact same as the distance from here to here. And same from here to here and here to here. Okay. So that's how we describe figures. Now what we're going to look at is angles. Okay, we're going to look at some angles here and how we describe angles. And I'm going to use, I will use a square. Okay, I'll do a square first, and then I'll do this one here. Whenever we talk about angles, we have a couple things. Whenever we have 2 lines that meet at a corner, and it is perfectly square in the corner, okay, that's what's called a right angle, and we indicate it using this shape here. Okay. In each corner. Just going to move this over. And I can flip it around, and I can put this down here. Okay, so these are all right angles, and we draw these little boxes in the corner to indicate that. So a right angle, a right angle is 90 degrees. Okay, is 90 degrees. It's a perfect square shape. Another way of saying it, it's perpendicular. Okay, a right angle. Now, when we have figures that do not have right angles, like the case of this triangle here, there's no right angles, we would use this shape over here, and I can adjust this, and now it would indicate an angle like that. Okay, let's flip it around. line it up and so on. So I have 3 angles. Now what I want to ask myself for lesson number 2, very simply, we need to know what a right angle is. This is a right angle. In this rectangle, there are 4 right angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to know a right angle. When we do shapes without right angles, we ask ourselves, is it more than a right angle, or is it less than a right angle? Okay, those are the pieces of information that we're going to ask in this lesson here. Okay, I'm going to say when I look at this, this is less than a right angle. This is less than 90 degrees. Okay, because from here to here is less, and I can actually kind of show that if I take this. Actually, what I'll do, we'll take this. If I kind of, excuse me, put this over the shape, I can see this angle here is less than that square. So I would say it's less than 90. All 3 of those are less than 90 degrees. Okay. Let's take a look at very quickly this shape here. This is a good one to use. Well, this shape here, these 2 angles are less than 90 degrees. Well, how do I know? Well, I know that these are all 90. Well, if I rotate this shape around, we have all these shapes in the classroom so you can use them. Clearly you can see when I line them up that this angle is less than that 90 degrees. However, when I look at this shape, well, this looks like it's more than 90. Well, if I, again, take this shape and kind of put it over, if it extends, oh, look at that. So if I take a look at this angle is more than 90. So when I go to determine these shapes, the angles in them, I would say this angle and this angle are more than 90. This one here and this one here are less than 90. Okay, or less than a right angle. So this is the terminology we will be looking at in lessons 1 and 2. Right angles, more or less than a right angle. And then of course when we describe the figure, we're looking for number of sides, number of angles, and then how many parallel sides, and we call them in sets. Okay, so that'll be our lessons 1 and 2 that we're going to look at. So take some time, review this, and have a great night.